John McCaig here with JesusChristTrust.net, and I want to get into thoughts. What were you just thinking? A thought came into your mind when there was a pause in the beginning of this video, and you're like, I wonder if this video is working. There was a pause. And then a thought entered, right? Did you create that thought? No. No one creates thoughts, right? They're sent to us. Thoughts are sent to us. And they're automatic in some way, right? That would be instinct. You have a thought to do something. We call that instinct. Oh, you're acting upon instinct, right? You're doing somebody throws something to you catch it. You try to catch it, right? Somebody swings a fist at your face, you move your face out of the way when it's coming, right? It's instinctual. It's not you doing it. It's happening, but a thought is not necessarily an action. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a thought comes and then you decide what to do. Okay? So a thought comes, then you decide what to do. You follow me? Those are the two parts or you decide not to do it, right? A thought and, oh, I'm not going to do that. So what does that make you? You're not the creator of thoughts, so don't be tied to them, right? You're the one that's going, oh, should I act upon that thought or not act upon that thought, right? Or should I consider that thought, right? Now you're the one considering it. Considering is maybe more like what you think of thinking, right? And you consider some, oh, I'm gonna consider that. See, when you consider something, you're like, oh, I didn't consider that, right? No, you're like, you're gonna weigh the pros and cons of a thought. That's who we are. We're the ones, right? We're the witness to thoughts. We're not the thinker. No, we're not the creator of thoughts. That's not who we are. We consider the thoughts sent to us and what to act upon. Baba calls this area the mental plane. It's the final battle. The final battleground is the mind. And, the ego. Because you're like, wait a minute, I don't create thoughts. What? We'll create one right now while you're listening to this. No, you can't. You see, you don't create thoughts. Your ego has to accept that point that it has never created a thought and that it never will. It's bad news for the ego, do you see? And so, because, now we got it like, oh, okay, so who are you? You're the one receiving thoughts. Now it's like, wait a minute, who's sending these thoughts, right? Who is sending thoughts? Isn't that, if you want to beat, if our role is to know the truth, act upon it, and then be delivered from, right? Delivered, deliver, so close here. If you want to get out of the devil's area, this dome, the management area, you have to, in the end, beat the mental realm, and then after that, your actions have to match, what is right. You have to beat the thoughts. So where do these thoughts come from? Well, first of all, you can see there are two main types of thought, right? There's oh, okay, there's the worried thought, there's the there's a scared thought, there's a fear thought, and all that, right? That's comes from more like instinct and the basics under the dome stuff, and like animal instincts. That's, the devil has control of the animals. The manager under the dome, the lord of this world, lord of hosts, right, at the North Pole, is Satan and the evils and the elves. That's where they are. And so they're setting out thoughts. Plus, the devil rules, hell too, the moon. And so the Death Star, right, sending thoughts down to us. God is amazing that these thoughts are coming to us. A pre-programmed script is coming into our mind based upon our previous actions. which were they our own? Not really, because you didn't know, right? You didn't know that your thoughts were your own. You're like, doody doody do. I'm just, which meant you were asleep. You're sort of like, you're in the area where you were a precursor of being truly human, right? You're a subhuman or a precursor. Like you're between an animal and a human. You haven't understood and processed what it means to be a human and acted from that place. I'm not my thoughts. The thoughts of the devil are being sent from, a whole network of every area, but into your mind, from the moon, right? The moon, right? Lunacy from the moon. And thoughts from, God come from the sun, heaven, right? Hell is the moon and the sun is heaven. And God is the light behind the sun, S-U-N. The sun is behind the sun, right? That's putting light into the sun. And the sun will become the next earth, and the earth becomes the moon, and so on, with all the spheres and the way that works. But now we're on thoughts, okay? Thoughts. So, what is the only weapon that we have? The name of God. We don't have another weapon. We're not going to be given another one. It's not going to happen. That's it. The name of God, Jesus Christ, the one that if you sign the trust, that's irrevocably the God you are surrendered to and must serve and must obey, or you can't leave the dome. You signed a contract to be with Jesus Christ, so your thoughts should only be coming from Jesus Christ, you see? And so that's the battle. You take his name, you're just silently taking his name, and what? Two things, okay? Because this is a two-way street of thoughts. You see, they're sending thoughts into us, right? As I just described, but also, everyone, pretty much most everyone around you is, if you're watching this video and you're this high along spiritually, which almost no one alive is, okay? But if you're listening to this information and processing it, and you're gonna, move on and, act upon the truth and so on, you're one of the absolute fewest humans that exist. There are only 7,000 humans here, okay? 7,000 won't kneel to Baal. The rest are, working towards their humanness, right? They're subhumans. They're in the instinct, so that doesn't really make them human yet. The fallen angels, whatever, right? But they're not fully human yet because they're not even thinking their own thoughts. Do you follow me? They're thinking thoughts sent to them as their own, which they're not. Until you could differentiate from that, well, are you really human? If you can't actually think thoughts that are your own, you follow me? In other words, you can't differentiate yourself as the one considering your thoughts, and the thoughts are not being created or sent to you by you. If you can't make that distinction, are you really human? In my mind, you're not. Okay, you have the propensity, the opportunity, seemingly, to do so, but the number of humans here is fixed at 7,000. It's never going to be more in a particular time loop. So only 7,000 alive have the opportunity, to get to the place where they're acting upon the truth. Oh, this is the truth. Wow. And now I got to process it. Now I got to act upon it, right? Only 7,000 can do that. The rest of them simply reject anything I say as not being true because it's not thoughts that, they got programmed into them, scripted into them, all that stuff, right? So they're like, you're crazy. It's like, no, sane, right? Sane with a cross, saint. So the battle of the thoughts, right? What's the other side of it? They can read your mind, right? In other words, there are only 7,000 humans here. They can't read minds, okay? If you're one of those 7,000, that's been blocked from your abilities as you play this game, okay, for your soul. That's blocked, but not for them. They can read your mind, except, and so they can be right in front of you, sending thoughts right at you. You see what I'm saying? They're just a bee in the hive. And so the hive and the bee are one. The devil and the other bees are they're one, and any thoughts can be sent instantly to them, and they act upon them. Do you see what I'm saying? They're one with the devil. They're one with the thoughts sent to them. Period. That's it. And they never won't be. That's who they are. That determines who they are. But you have to determine that you are not that, or you aren't human. That's really the way it is. You're not the thinker, right? You're the determiner. What am I going to do? Right? So is there really any free will? I mean, arguably no. But we have to act as if it exists. You see? And so this means they're sending us thoughts, but they're also reading our reaction to the thoughts. Do you follow me? They can, clear as day. It's sixth sense, right? You don't have it, and they do. It's like vision, okay? Um, think if you were just standing talking to someone. Oh, I'm standing talking to you. And while someone is talking to you, they lose their sight. They go blind. While they're just looking at you, talking to you, they go blind. Do you think they would have a reaction? You're right. Yes, they would. So, if whom you're talking to loses their ability to read your thoughts, so that's their sixth sense, and let's just face it, their primary sense, right? If you can read thoughts, then really seeing and smelling and tasting and touching are really, those senses are not as important as knowing all the thoughts around you, because by comparison, especially during communication, right? You would rely upon it as we rely upon eyesight if we have it, right? Okay, so how do you block them from reading your thoughts? Same weapon, right? We only have one weapon. You're like, whenever you go, how do I do the name Jesus Christ? You see it? You see, it's our weapon. It's our shield. It's all we have. We only have God. The servants of Jesus Christ only have God, and so does everyone. That's the devil isn't here to help you. It's just here to mess you up and make you scream Jesus Christ, and then finally find Jesus Christ, right? So the name Jesus Christ, when you're in front of someone, right, and you're like, oh, let me because this is, what am I talking about? Spiritual technology, right? Jesus Christ Trust is a spiritual technology company with some financial technology. Okay, so how do I use this simple spiritual technology to beat them? What do? You say the name Jesus Christ silently in your mind. That's all you're doing. That's your thought. Jesus Christ, Jesus, whatever they're sending, click, like a light bulb, click, off. You're standing somewhere, just say the name Jesus Christ silently or quietly or whatever, and just with your toe of your foot draw a circle around you and close the circle on the ground, right? And you'll hear it zoop, right? It just closes. You don't hear it. It's like you don't hear anything. You know what I mean? It's the absence of thought. It's instantly stopped. There are no thoughts that come to you when you do that. Okay, so amazing. So check, test that technology, and then here's the same technology. Okay, you're interacting with someone at a store, you know what I mean? Obviously, they're one of the controllers or whatever, or you're down in interacting with a government official, or one of them, an obvious one of them, right? A police, pick a good target so you can, because they're there as our foils. We're supposed to use these fallen angels in situations and learn the truth, right? We need, to learn by doing stuff. Well, who's got to be the actors out there when we do stuff? They do. So you're interacting with one of them, right? And it's just blah, 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 back and forth, whatever you're talking about. But then inside yourself and pre-planned, you follow me? Uh, you start silently saying the name Jesus Christ. Only why? To see their reaction, right? You want to see them react. You want to see if what I'm telling you is true. And you want to see it multiple times. You can go all over town for a year or months on it, test this stuff out. This is spiritual technology. If they can't read your mind, well, what happens then? They realize, oh, you have the technology that blocks them from reading your thoughts, and almost no one does. Then they're like, whoa. They treat they start to treat you differently. Like, they realize who you are, and that, you're doing this on purpose, and they really kind of want you to move along. They want to be helpful and get you out of their, interaction space and make you someone else's problem and not theirs, because they don't want to mess up and have any negative repercussions up on them, because it's like, you know, uh, they're running a carnival, and when the guy who's running the carnival comes by at the end of the night, they're like, well, how'd you do? And they're like, well, you know what I mean? They're going to feel it as one of the carnies, right? Oh, well, you're in a body, you're playing the game, so how did you do? Okay, so they're cautious. You're into such high level technology, and you understand who they are to such a level, and you're staring them right in the face, knowing, then they know who you are too. You see what I'm saying? Without saying a word. That's the way this is, okay? You have to get control of your thoughts, and you have to do it, you know, with the name of God. And then what happens ultimately down the road, as you do this over and over and over, and this is the technology, this is your only weapon, and this is how you beat them. What happens when you get them out of your mind and your heart and out of inside you, and you're not possessed by thoughts or demon, and nothing's in you anymore? That's when you get Christ consciousness, right? Why would God enter you if you had any part of the shadow in you? No, not going to happen. You see? So Christ consciousness is receiving only the thoughts from your God, not from the devil. You see what I'm saying? You eliminate the shadow's hold on you, the thoughts and so on. You eliminate it over time with the use of the name of God that you sign to Jesus Christ.